5 things that kill motivation. That is the subject of today's video, and I thought I'd do a little view over there, but then I realised as I was recording that my bin was there, which you can still see. But it's a hobby bin, so it's like a bit more. Anyway, 5 things that kill motivation. Today, Lionel and I are covering that subject in depth, hopefully. Shallowly, maybe. No, we'll see you in there.
Mini Matters, a miniature and painting podcast.
Right, mate.
Happy New Year, Jamie.
Happy New Year indeed. It's the 11th. So we've had a long time to mull over the new year. How are you finding it?
New Year's not been treating me well, Jamie. It's
COVID?
one of those. Maybe I was just better off staying in 2022.
I did see an amusing gif of an old lady jumping out of a burning building, hitting the trampoline that the fire brigade were holding up and jumping straight into a burning building. Yeah, which was 2023.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, how much can go wrong in 11 days?
I'm like the opposite of the Midas touch at the minute. Everything I've touched turns to crap. But I think it's a short stint.
Okay, so we won't. It's nothing hobby related. Like you've got all your models, all your fingers, all that kind of stuff.
Touch wood. That's the only thing that's going okay at the minute. That's my only solace, as it always is, my painting desk.
And that's why we are here. So, I guess 2 highly motivated individuals as we are for painting, which is the first time I think we can say it. Although, back when I had that real drive, I guess we didn't know each other that well until the tail end of it, right? And then we did the stint with Alfonso together. So we probably had 6 to 9 months together of me highly motivated.
I've known you more as a non-painter than I have as a painter.
Yeah, same. I wanted to make that look like alcohol. To be like I'm drinking to hide. Anyway, yeah. Well, I mean, I do think the wind's changed for us as a couple because I am painting now. And obviously by my painting, I'll be putting a lot of pressure on you to continue your improvement as I will to me. My headphone, not only did I trail off there and what I was saying, my headphone beeped at me. And I was like, what's she going to say? And then she told me I got a low battery, which is a bit annoying actually, because we've been nabbering on with each other for an hour. But 5 things to kill motivation as our subject. We are both painting. We've got some ideas coming up of, well, not ideas. We're going to change or add some features, are we not?
We are. So we're going to that first. So obviously with the new year, we started to look at our content and realise how bad it was. No, started to look at our content.
A little bit, though. It's something that we want to do more fun with.
Yeah, and I think we want to change. Obviously, the nature of this show will change. I think it's going to become the commentary that we've had back is people want to see more, not only the event coverage that we're already doing, but they want to see more of our journey and our painting. We've always shied away from showing our own work. For me, it's always felt a bit self-indulgent and a bit
just keep going
and a bit uncomfortable in that sense. But the commentary we are getting is actually we'd like to see what you're doing and have that commentary in relation to that. However, what I do want to do is introduce 2 new shows as well this year. So if you follow our social media, I'll be putting up posts. I've already put up a post about one of them.
That's Instagram specifically, though, or is that Facebook and Instagram?
It'll copy over to Facebook automatically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have copied over to that automatically. So what we want to do is, one of them is we want to hear more from yourselves. We want questions from you guys. And it can be about anything. It can be questions towards us about our hobby, questions about the hobby or the miniature scene in general. What's your favourite colour red? From which range? It could be anything from that to, I don't know. What do you think is the biggest challenge facing the miniature industry at the moment? And what we're going to do is we're going to pick our favourite question each week, and we will do a short 10-minute show on that. We'll release that weekly, where Jamie and I will have a debate or a discussion and give our views on it. To send that through, Jamie's very helpfully put it up. If you send it through to @MiniMattersCast, as it's written there, Is it that, or is it at Mini Matters Info?
That's
at
the
Mini Matters?
Instagram. That is Mini
Well,
Matters
that's
Cast.
okay.
And this is info at Mini Matters. Oh, right, I'm doing it live just as I type. .uk.
Yeah.
Does this Matters
So
have two T's? Yeah, it does.
Yeah. If you send your question to that email address, it will ping through to us. And obviously, we'll go through them each week and we'll pick our favourite and discuss it. So that's one small show that we want to bring each week. The other thing that I want to, it's more for a resurrection, or let's call it a rebirth. What we used to do back in the days, we used to do something called Mini Matters Daily Choice. And that was a hashtag that you used on social media, in particular Instagram. And what we would do is we would go through that Instagram each week, or that hashtag, and we would select our favorite pieces to discuss and talk about. That's something that I wanted to do more of. Having gone to these shows, having spoken to individuals and putting faces to viewers, I'm really interested in now seeing your work again and discussing your work and shining a spotlight on that. So once again, that's something that we're going to be bringing in as a feature, and that will be hashtag Mini Matters Daily Choice. So if any pieces you complete or any work you want us to feature, if you use that hashtag, we will also do a separate show where we'll pick 2 or 3 each week, depending on how popular it is. And we'll do a separate show where we feature that work, but also we discuss that work. We're not looking to critique work. We're not looking to give any feedback in that sense. We just want to celebrate pieces that we enjoy. So don't be concerned that there's going to be any negative connotations or shy away from using the hashtag because you think there might be a degree of critique. It's not. We're just going to pick work that we like, feature it, and get the word out about your Instagram, which Jamie's turned into Instagram. Get the word out about your Instagram, your work, and feature and share the hobby love. So that will be another separate show that we'll do, and that will be another 10-minute show as well, on top of the substantive show that we do now. So potentially 4 shows a week, because you've got those 3, and then hopefully the Hutba show will continue because that's very popular. So potentially 4 outings a week, Jamie. Potentially.
We do it because we love them.
We're going down the Netflix model where we're just going to release a lot of stuff, but not all of it will be good.
Yeah, right. Right. Yeah. So we're just like Curtain Bomb, not as bad as Disney's Phase 4, because people would probably... I mean, can you cancel something for being bad?
Well, you can just not view it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened in our last show. But what I was going to say is, obviously, Jim Phillips. This was actually our inspiration for this week's video. And as always, we'll be doing timestamps. We haven't done it in years, but I'm going to try and do that with our going forward episodes, so people can just skip the intro and go straight to the chalk and cheese, the big stuff, as it were. So thanks, Jim. And that is why we're now... Well, this one didn't ask for it. Someone else did, actually. Including our painted models, which we're going to cover. Is that in today's show?
Yeah, well, we'll discuss those pieces, because obviously discussing how to overcome or gain motivation back, the pieces I've sent you is just an idea. Yeah. Just in case people can't read that, because obviously the font's quite small. What's the question, Jamie? The question
is...
Really bad.
I mean, I could just do this. No. Yeah, right. So loved your content. Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. And
Dude.
Say again?
No, we do. I know. Obviously, you said it like a laugh, but we do. We've said this before. We do generally appreciate it when people comment and say that they enjoy it. It's nice to get that feedback.
It's terribly important, sadly, because we are egotistical beings at the end of the day. It's nice to know that you're not just pissing everyone off. But yeah, keep up the awesome work. Obviously, thumbs. Oh no, I don't even know what that's called as an emoji. I call it the Italian okay.
Perfect. Oh yeah, okay.
Anyway, more importantly, how do you paint while tired and miserable? It would be perfect for a vid for you. So obviously, Jim, you're always miserable and tired, which is a perfect combination, I think. In a weird way, you know. Obviously, we've got the subjects. I forgot what it was. 5 things that kill motivation. But I'd like to think, at least the way you've spoken about, that painting is the solace and the thing that gets you away from it. unless you are finding specifically painting miserable and tiring, which is obviously a different. So I've interpreted it that life, external matters are making it miserable and tiring.
Yeah, I've interpreted the same way because I just don't see somebody sitting down at the painting desk going, not that I hate this, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Rubbish.
It's a pastime that you elect to do. So we assume you enjoy painting.
Well, you say it right. Like, there's one guy who did. I can't remember the name. It's like a well-established painter, and he had a blog, or somebody interviewed him, and he's like, in the interview, and he's won Golden Demons. He's like, I don't like painting. It was like, huh? And then like that was kind of it. Like, obviously he did the interview and stuff, but it was relatively confusing because it's like, how can you? What? You're not getting paid for this. You're sitting down and choosing to do this. Yeah. So yeah.
But particularly at competition level as well. I can understand if you're a war game and you're like, oh, I hate the painting aspect of the hobby, but I just want a painted army. But if you're doing Golden Demon, which is all about the painting
and hours of work as well,
it makes even less sense.
Yeah, it was quite a cool eye opener into just maybe that there are people out there who paint when they really don't want to be. It's confusing. Anyway.
So we're going to assume that Jim has got a hectic lifestyle.
He's like a test case, isn't he?
Which tires him out, and therefore he has a lack of energy in order to paint at the end of the day. Is that what we're going to assume that?
I suppose specifically, yeah. So we've got the 5 things that kill motivation. So let us know, Jimmy GG, at the end, if any of these factors do contribute to said lack of motivation or miserableness. Miserable is that's a broad topic. You could be miserable because the cheese toaster you just cooked fell on the floor. You could be miserable because of like serious mental health issues. You could be miserable because
I'm assuming it's a bit tongue in cheek, and it's like when he gets home from work, he's tired, and as a result, because he's tired, he's miserable, and he's not in the best mood.
That's how because otherwise, I suppose you'd say depressed rather than miserable. There's a big distinction between those. Right, so I need to turn this light up a little bit. So one sec.
Did you?
Getting stuck, and then back in. The production details are getting a lot. They're getting pretty good. I'm not going to lie. Bloody hell! 10 minutes. Right. So this is number 1 on our list of 5. Getting stuck. Now, this in my head is an understated thing that will kill motivation. It's an obvious one. But bloody hell! It's an obvious one, right? Like, you don't want to get.
Yeah, same problem.
Yeah, I don't know what else could go wrong. We could have that weird like skipping audio thing where the whole video freezes. I killed that though. Anyway, we're getting stuck. I think that's a huge zapping thing. People don't really talk about it. No one's really posting pictures online of just them not painting, going, bloody hell, I'm stuck again. Which is a bigger problem with the social media because you assume everyone's painting all the time and loving their bloody life. But as Jim says, we don't always. So I think getting stuck is like you just don't know how to resolve it, and you can't, and you try and you try and you try, and then where are you left at the end of the day? A ball of shame, disgust, self-disgust.
I think for me, it depends on how you react to a challenge, doesn't it? Because I know this is something that has plagued you.
Not me. Don't know what
Oh.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah. I suppose the first point is knowing that you're stuck, and accepting that you're stuck. Because once you know that, there's 2 things. There's 2 approaches. I think you either put down the brush and don't do anything at all, or you keep trying to sort it yourself and you keep going over the same steps and keep making the same mistakes where you get infuriated. So I think at that point, the recognizing that you're stuck and you've got to do something about it is the first issue, and then the issue is how do you overcome that the easiest way, like anything else, is trying to get help in terms of and where you go for those sources of help.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you're stuck anywhere else in life, at work with work colleagues or something, you'll always lean over to a work colleague and go, "You've done this before. How do I do this? How do you overcome it?" Or anything else, I don't know, cooking a recipe or whatnot.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same. It's about having a group of people around you who you can bounce ideas off. That's not always going to be there for various reasons. You might not know other painters. The next thing is obviously you've got things now like Patreon, YouTube, videos like that. And you can follow that. You've got individuals who give personal instruction and personal tuition. I understand there's a price barrier to that. That might not be the issue. I think the general approach is reading around the subject matter. I think sometimes people either go, "I'm stuck, I can't be bothered, I'm not dealing with it," or "I'm stuck, I'm not going to look elsewhere, I'm just going to keep going over it and over and over again to the point where I'm frustrated and then put down the brush and not go anywhere." I think there's a middle step where you put down the brush, you walk away from it for a couple of days, but rather than just putting it down for a couple of days and not thinking about it, you then use those 2 days or couple of days to research what the answer is.
That's
and that
very pragmatic approach.
And that might mean looking outside of the miniature painting. So one thing that I'm doing a lot of now is I'm looking at 2D illustration. As you can tell from behind me, I read a lot of comic books. I appreciate comic book art. I'm finding, having rereading and enjoying collecting again, I'm picking up styles, I'm picking up ideas in terms of painting style and idea translation and putting them onto models a lot easier. So it might be the case of, I know sometimes social media can be an inspiration and a killer, because obviously you look at some of these models and go, "That's painted fantastic," but it doesn't help me overcoming my problem. I found dismantling 2D images, traditional painting and traditional drawings is far more helpful than looking at other painted models.
Which goes against what we've been brought up on in terms of Golden Demon. Because a real 2D, obviously you've got like all the different ranges. Like you've got black and white anime, which is just done for speed, not anime, manga. And then you've got comics that aren't as well refined, more cartoony, totally different skill, really hard to do, but that's more similar to Games Workshop, I'd say, at least of the past, like block colours, edge highlighting, and then you've got like Stan Lee, kind of like truly amazing. Stan Lee? He's the artist. No, he's the guy who came up with it.
No, he's the writer.
Alan,
talking about Jim Lee?
Jim Lee. Like the really high level guys, and I guess you're talking about that, because then you've got like OSL, Rimlight, etc.
There is that, but also what's nice about a 2D image is, particularly with volume work, if you're struggling interpreting a volume, you'll find, particularly in comic books, they're there. Even the high end illustrators and colorists are still working with basic shapes in comparison to what you're doing. So, in comparison to a painted model, it still feels like a blueprint, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's not
so.
Complex.
Yeah. So if you look at non-metallic metal drawn in a comic book, it's very, very basic.
Yeah.
But it gives you the bare bones in terms of how to understand how to place it, and then how you advance it. Yeah. And I don't know, like you said, OSL. So in comic books, in order to get the brightness, they deliberately darken elements nearby it to push
contrast on it,
the sense of the light. And that's what, if you look at painters, that's what they do in painted models. In order to get that OSL, they will darken the rest of the model to make the brightest part look brighter, if that makes sense.
So push through.
Not push through. What I'm saying is use your time differently. When you're struggling and you're stuck, use that time to research instead, or use that time to read around the topic area, or watch a film, and that might give you an idea. Freeze. I've started freezing films a lot more now. So
to look at stuff
if I watch, if I watch something like Blade Runner 2049, I think that's a nice, and I freeze it to see how the neon works, how they placed it, how they've lit the model to give that. Pausing and studying that 2D, that freeze frame gives you a lot of information. I think what we do is we don't, and this is something I've learned obviously from Alfonso and Arnell, is particularly Arnell when he says plan and paint in your head before you paint itself. We need to study more. You know, it is, and I think sometimes we think this is a pleasure, it shouldn't be a chore, and I agree with that. And when you say to when you say to somebody, get your books out and let's start studying the science of art, you think, oh, that sounds like you're trying to make it boring now. But there is a necessary element of that if you are going to overcome a hurdle that you're stuck on.
Yeah, because otherwise, why are you going to come up with something new overnight? Yeah, okay, your brain can digest stuff and you can think up and it can help. But generally, I think when I've got stuck, really stuck, 1 minute 50, okay. When I've got really stuck, yeah, like just sitting on it wasn't the best thing to do. Like, I've not been stuck yet, or at least not properly in this new painting, like the last 4 or 5 models, because I've just been painting Games Workshop style models, and not to a high level. So I haven't got stuck yet, and I know that's going to come. And I used to, when I got stuck, I used to research. By research, I just search for images or other things that are trying to create similar things, but that I don't think actually really helped. Every now and then I could get inspiration, but yeah, the only thing that ever actually helped was Alfonso's guidance, because he would push me through and put you where to tell the volumes and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think what it depends on how you react to something. I've never found looking at another brilliant artist's work helpful, because I just go, that's amazing, but I don't know how they've got there.
Yeah.
I think if you're looking at a source and you don't understand still, you need to dumb down the source a bit more, if that makes sense.
Yeah, to more what you're capable of.
I agree. Googling leather, an image of leather, helps you as a reference point, but it doesn't help you understand how you get there. Yeah. Whereas if you look at a computer game image of a Viking in leather, it's easier to break down the colours, in my view.
Because they're designed that way. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly, because somebody's painted it digitally. And that's why, for me, comic books are very interesting, because I love comic book art. I'm not gonna play it down, but it is a very basic interpretation, isn't it? Because they draw so many panels.
Right.
At the other end, you've got somebody like Alex Ross as an artist who's very painterly in his approach, and it was more in line what you'd see in terms of traditional portrait art. So
in comics, yeah. I wonder how they have time.
That works for me. I'm not saying that's what you should do. That works for me. What I'm saying is, look at a source that you can understand and interpret, and then adapt to your miniature painting.
Yeah, I think when I get stuck for real, I'm going to try and do that. I think understanding why I'm stuck is probably a big thing. Knowing and understanding what is blocking me, specifically. I think in the past I've just drifted and been like, I can't resolve X, but I don't know what it was that was really, really zapping me. Scared of failure. I wonder if I could do it in a better voice. Hold on, let's try again. It's broken the third wall. Is it the third wall? Fifth wall? Fourth wall? Fourth wall. Yeah, because 3, it's like sound vision. Oh, fuck. Scared of failure.
How ironic that you're failing.
But I'm not scared. Hold on, let's center align that. Scared of failure. There you go. I think this is a big one. Because of the indoctrination we get from the Instagrams and socials, and the I can't produce a model now that I'm not like, well, I can, but before I quit, and it wasn't a conscious quit, but before I stopped painting, I couldn't do something unless I was really, really happy with it. Do you know what I mean? It had to be.
Well, the one thing I was going to say before we do, what is failure? Is failure not getting enough likes? Is failure not getting follows?
Yeah, no.
Who's determined failure? If you post something on Instagram, who's determined failure?
This guy. It was nothing to do with social
but-
media. I meant viewing other people's social media created
Okay.
an unrealistic expectation of. It's like body dysmorphia, I think, for painting models. For what I had then. Like, I couldn't.
Okay, I understand.
Nothing I could do was getting to the level that I thought I should be at. And I was like, it's not. I was never like so. I was going to say sullen, but like so petty to think I deserved to be better. It wasn't like that, but it was like I felt like I could produce better than I was producing, and I was getting annoyed about it not being. Basically, like to a level that's like you look at it and you go, "That's well painted." Like that guy knows what he's doing. That's not what I wanted other people to think, because generally I don't really care about what other people think, which is ironic because it's perfectionism in your own, like you know what you're happy with, and when you get it and then you look back at it and you go, that makes me happy. And I wasn't producing that stuff, and it's probably because I wasn't painting models I liked. The subjects weren't good, and just disappointed in yourself. That's thing that kills motivation for me. Because when you think about your hobby, you think about it. Is it true, like as a statement, to really be proud of something, you have to be good at it? And I don't think that's true as a statement, but to feel that pride, you have to push yourself to get to that upper bit, right? Like if you're running and you're aiming for 10k and you can only do one, you're proud of yourself when you get to 2k, like in half an hour or something, right?
There has to be a sense of achievement attached to pride for pride to follow. I presume.
Yeah,
is what you said.
So back then I was like, I've still got the models here because I refuse to let them go. As in, I want to beat them now. But I feel like, for me that was a motivation killer because when I couldn't get to the levels that I thought I would or should be, I was like, fuck it, basically, because I can't do it. So it's like, if I can't do it, what's the point in doing it, kind of thing. I think that was kind of what was there.
Yeah. Right. From my perspective, I smirked because obviously failure for me has been well documented, hasn't it, in the last. So I feel like the fear of failure has truly been exercised from me because I've gone through it, or what I deem to be failure. So obviously not hitting the medals that I wanted to, and having come out the other side now, I do realise it doesn't matter.
You're talking about awards, aren't you, and competitions, just for anybody who's not sure.
Because that was my question. Who determines failure and what is failure?
Yeah.
Failure for somebody might be posting something on Instagram and getting no interaction whatsoever.
Yeah.
Failure for somebody else might be I managed to get a silver medal or not. So you've got to determine what failure
levels
is.
aren't there? Yeah. I guess, scared of failure as a broad statement is universal to whatever that thing is. Like, that is a motivation killer. Like, you obviously for you felt some lack of motivation, but then you turned it round, and not many people can do that. Like, most people would be like, well, not most people, that's not true. Some people would be like, bugger it, I thought I should get gold and I got bronze, and that was oddly specific. Well, I am talking in general, and then they're like, there's no point in going, no matter how hard I work.
Yeah.
I can't be bothered to put that work in and fail, so I'm scared of failure, as it were. Like, whereas you turned it round and said, like, if I'm going to fail, I'm just going to keep working hard.
Yeah, and I think obviously you have to expose yourself in order to
you put yourself out there, don't you?
Yeah. So there's an element of that. So I've kind of done the failure aspect of it, and it means when you do get to where you want to go. I'm not saying I'm where I finally want to be, but the success tastes that much sweeter. However, coming back and touching on what you said before, I think social media was said, is not for your example, but potentially. One thing that I do now is when I first went on social media, is I used to look at all the top painters, and like you said, that kind of expectation. Oh, one day I want to be like that. I want to produce work like that. And it got to the point where we've all been there, where it starts to motivate, and then it starts to crush you, and then it starts to be a bit soul destroying when you see these amazingly painted models and you're not producing or going anywhere near that. And now I've come the other way where actually those images don't really interest me anymore. Unless I personally know the individual, they don't interest me anymore because that's their full-time job. They've been doing it for years.
Unrealistic.
So I tend not to follow those accounts anymore because I gain nothing from them. I tend to follow accounts of people I know, and I like to see them evolve as painters and grow. So a lot of the people I follow, you probably haven't heard of, but I know them personally from going to painting courses, from seeing them on the painting circuit. And they're the accounts I follow now. And I'm more interested because I just realised following the big accounts.
It's like a hollow. It's like watching a film star almost work out with a perfect body or something. They can do that. They've got a dietitian. They've got a 6-month plan, and they're like, I can do it. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because obviously I'm not really on social media, and I'm quite looking forward to this painting model segment. And like a reason why I suggested it in the past is so I could actually see your models, because I don't know what you paint. Like you're talking about how you paint all these models. I never see them. I don't know what you paint ever, and it's probably the same for you and me because I don't post my models online. I don't really share them because they're just they're just elder, so it's a bit like, you know.
Yeah, it is ironic because we don't show each other our work, do we?
No,
we just do it. Unless of course we're going along to a competition with our competition piece and we happen to see it there and then.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not on social media. So as a result, you don't see my work, and I don't see your work because you don't post on social media.
The irony of social media there. I suppose we could just be social and send it to each other, but it's like sending pictures of our children to each other. It's just something we don't do. I don't know. Yeah, it feels a bit like, oh hey mate, I painted this, and you go, thanks Jamie, that's really good. Here's what I painted. Oh Lionel, really appreciate you sending me those messages. I'll see you on the cast on Wednesday.
I think as well it's because I think in this forum we can actually discuss it, can't we? Right? It's very difficult to respond to an image because you open the image invariably when you're busy, when you're on the way to do something, and you can't give like a So that part will be interesting.
Okay, that was my best nerd voice. Yeah, so scared of failure. It's a tough one. Fuck, it's so hard to get the timing. No reward. There you go. I might try and like actually do some audios that would autoplay when I hit that button.
No, I prefer to watch you struggle.
Yeah, it's painful. No reward. So this is a motivation zapper in context of like a bit like carrot and cheese, stick and carrot and stick.
Carrot and stick.
Yeah, like it's not a reward for painting competition necessarily, but it's like if you don't, do you find painting rewarding? Is what I'm saying. So like when you go through a really tough spot or something, and then you're not happy with the end result, there's no reward, right? It's the same. It's very tightly coupled with the pride thing. I think really is like you're painting away, and then you kind of. It's basically what happened to me, I think. I was painting all those models with Alfonso at the end, and there was no real reward for me because I didn't get anything I wanted. Do you know what I mean? Like, I walked past this...
What were you looking for?
Elder, I guess. I know now what, like... Yeah, this cabinet here, right? You can't see it, but just those... We're going to cover it at the end with the models, and seriously, I walked past that cabinet now. I mean, I don't know why walking past it makes it sound like it's on the way to my work or something. I get up and I go and look in my cabinet and I look at the stuff I've painted, and it brings me it wells up inside me an immense amount of pleasure tingles in my brain, based on nostalgia, based on pride that I'm actually finally painting. And I look at some of the things and I'm like, I'm surprised I can paint to that level, even though it's not like a competition winning piece or anything. It's just a 28mm elder, but it's still really like I get a reward by looking at it, and that is a huge motivator. So it's not a killer for me when like I'm sitting down now to paint these two Wraith Lords, and I'm a little bit like they're really like they're not very expressive. They're just yellow with black, and it's like going through the numbers. But now I know my brain's learning that I get that feeling from it. That I'm much more motivated to paint something because I can already feel that them going in the cabinet is really going to motivate me. So if you don't have any, so all the models I was painting, like that English guy, like that green orc, like all those things I was painting at the end of Alfonso, there was no reward there because I knew I didn't want them in my cabinet because I hated the models.
Okay.
And I realise that now. Like, they were learning pieces that I should have been doing in like 1 or 2 days, and then being comfortable enough to throw them away, or whatever. You know, like the end product for them, the reward for them would have been learning.
Okay.
So, and that's the reward. So I think if you don't have a reward, like your reward at the moment is playing with those miniatures that you're painting.
Yeah.
So imagine if you don't have that clear reward that you know you're going to get at the end, why are you doing it?
Yeah, that was the big. I think that's the key difference as to why I finish a unit or a miniature a week as opposed to you. The reason being is since I found gaming again at my LGA, there's a reason to complete something. Yeah. So that, as you said, that's a reward. Don't get me wrong. Every time I complete a miniature, and providing I'm happy with it, and once you finish by a miniature, by definition, you are happy with it. Otherwise, you'll be reworking it and still painting it. I always get that sense of achievement. And I've looked in my cabinet now, and for one game system I play, Marvel Crisis Protocol, I've now got 25 characters painted. And with Horus Heresy, which I only started late last year, I've now got a 2,000 point fully painted army as well. So that in itself is the reward, because I've got those completed pieces and you can look at them. And like you said, there's a set. Not all of them are going to be display standard, but they are to a good degree. And there's also those little wins as well. So when you go to your local gaming shop and you're playing them, I will get people come up to me and go, I really like your models. I just wanted to say I really like your models, or I like your army. That's an amazing, that's a very good army. And then they will always say, can you just tell me some techniques about how you did it? Can you give me some advice? And I've done some paint recipes for other people, and I've had some approaches about painting stuff. So that in itself is a nice little reward as well. Yeah. Not that I paint for that, but it's always nice to have that appreciation and recognition from a fellow painter or fellow hobbyist, because it's a kind of it is a pat on the back, isn't it? And it's not why we should paint, but in terms of
motivation, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, but in terms of those little rewards from winning a trophy down all the way down to some acknowledgement or somebody appreciating your art or your work, I think that's a nice little reward as well.
Yeah, it just I think what I'm learning from these last few months and from compiling this list is it's probably all the small things that come together that actually build up motivation, and learning from the experiences that are positive that keep it going. Like, if you didn't have your game, you'd have less motivation to paint, because the only real thing you're painting for is either learning or competitions kind of thing. Whereas now it's like, obviously we've never painted for the podcast as a reward, but subtly that will probably start becoming a reward, because we know that we're going to put it on the stream. Some people are going to look at it, probably looking at it while they're naked. Those kind of levels is where we're going to go with it. So the better that we are, the more excited people will be, and that could be a reward and is motivation.
And also it's probably different rewards at different times of the year, because painting the stuff that I'm doing now is a nice relief from painting the competition I did for Monty Santorino, because you don't want to be painting to that standard and that level.
It uses up a lot of that noggin, doesn't it?
Yeah, but then equally, once I've done 30 Space Marines, there's a point where you go, you know what, that was nice, but now I need something challenging, and I want something where I can put in my cabinet and go, wow, that's I'm really happy with that, and I'm proud to show that off. So it just depends.
No, it makes sense.
What
you burn out
what your reward for that time of the year is. Yeah.
I guess the more I paint now, I've actually probably worked out what my Golden Demon entry is. It's not, and it's not I know it won't win because I'm not painting it as a competition standard. But it's something that I'm really enjoying painting, so I may as well enter it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hold on. All right. Distractions. It's difficult. I need a deeper voice, I think, distractions. But then it's boring. Distraction. Anyway, we're here for the content, not for the fades in. Distraction, I think this is an easy one. TV, wife, kids, work. Like, there's a whole... The world is designed now to pull you in for as long as possible. You know, YouTube Shorts.
And I think as well, this probably touches more directly upon what Jim was saying in terms of what I'm guessing in terms of why he's tired and miserable when it comes to painting.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'd like him to have divulged more information for us to dissect for him. But miserable and tired. I mean, those two words, they're like a hornet's nest for what it could be. But I imagine, let's just say, 7 hours at work, an hour on a recruit, 9 hours a day, let's say, 2 hours travelling there and back. You get home, you don't have a lot of energy when you come home, and you need to unwind. And that's one thing I think everybody must have to do. They have to probably eat, probably unwind in front of the TV for a little bit, on the computer, whatever, and then paint. Maybe going for a run's probably better for you, probably more energetic. But I can relate to that quite a lot. Yeah, like even now I get it where I try and push myself to do maybe half an hour during the day to sort of wet my palate, as it were. In fact, I bought not on topic at all, but yeah. Also, this little bad girl said she was going to run out. She doesn't run out.
Still going. She's motivated to keep going.
She likes the content. But yeah. I don't know, actually. Maybe you need to set up... Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
Like a checklist of things. I find that when you're in that miserable whatever phase, as in you're questioning, I can't be bothered to paint right now, or I'm too tired to paint, or blah, blah, blah. I always find that if you have set regimented things that you can go to and be like, right, this is what I need to do. I just need to sit on the palette, sit on my table for 5 minutes and paint. Not on the table, but if you have those clearly defined things that you do and you build up a routine, you're a lot less likely to just say, I'm too tired to do it.
Yeah. I think for me, nothing happens by accident. You have to make time. You don't appear at work by accident. You don't have dinner served at the table by accident. You make a conscious effort to prepare and make time for that. And I think that's what you need to do. I'm not saying you. I'm talking about. But generally, you need to make time in your day for it. So
I think that goes back to, if you're tired and miserable, why do you make time for it? As in, so you only make time for something if
you enjoy it.
Yeah. And then these things that kill motivation give you an excuse not to do it when you don't want to do it. When you have that, because you're good that you can regiment things, right? And you can stick to something when you've committed to doing. Other people can't do that. So it's like, what gives you that extra bit of motivation to sit down when you would otherwise not want to? Okay.
So I think I'm going to talk about my example, and I appreciate it doesn't help, and then I'll think about what might help. I think one of the things that I do is, obviously, I've got a fairly regimented fitness regime in terms of working out. I work out every day for an hour. I watch my diet. I watch everything like that. And I think that mindset has made me better equipped to be able to go, you know what? I now need to do an hour of painting in the evening. I also think as well, by exerting my energy in a positive way like that during the day, by the time it comes to the evening to put on some music and paint, I find it a relaxing comfort. As a result, it's kind of a wind down.
I think I've got what you're onto here.
Yeah. The other thing you were saying as well about distractions, I think one thing that helps us in this house is we've actually only got shock horror. We've only actually got one TV in the house, okay, and that's a deliberate thing because we didn't want too many TVs around so that the kids would be constantly on that. So we've got one main TV in the house. My wife doesn't really have a hobby outside of that as a relaxation. So what naturally happens is if we're not watching something together, she will get the TV, and I've either got to watch bad TV.
Love Island. Apparently, I saw an advert it's opening up again or something.
Back, yeah. I was going to go back to that. My painting is going to go through the roof in the next 3 months because Love Island is back on, and that's on every night, and I won't get near the TV. So as a result, I've got this sanctuary now where I think, well, if I'm not watching TV up there, and I'm not going to be watching what she's doing. Obviously, we spend time together as well before that happens. Yeah. But when the kids are, we've got our downtime during the week. Then I'll come down and paint for an hour or so.
Yeah.
So that helps as well.
It did make me realise actually when I was going through my blip, but I knew I wanted to paint, but I wasn't there. I'd be spending my entire evening on the PC, and I was so ingrained on being on the PC, like eBay, Facebook, I don't know, pottering around with whatever, that even though I knew I wanted to do it, I wouldn't sit down until like 11:30, and then the maximum I could do would be like 20 minutes, and then I'd be like, my eyes are tired, I'm going to go to bed. So turning off the PC was the start of me going, there's a conscious thing where like, right, fuck off the distractions. I want to do something that I know I want to do. So I think, as you say, like, it's just a case in point of like doing it in a weird, ironic way.
I think it's a bit as well like creating good habits. You'd only need to do it for a few weeks before it would just automatically become part of your routine. Yeah. It's like going to the gym and working out. The first few months you do it, it's awful, but then you get to the point where you feel weird if you don't do it.
I need to get to that point again.
And I think it's an element. We've been there where you revise for exams or you're studying, and like suddenly everything in the house is so much more interesting than revision.
You clean your entire house, you clean the kitchen, you clean that weird cupboard.
I've never realised how fascinating Loose Women is. I think I watched them. You know what I mean? It's that element.
For anybody outside the UK, that's a daytime TV show for wives, basically.
Yes. So it's one of those. So I think you need to make a concerted effort to begin with to block out those distractions and make time.
It's a conscious thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then eventually it will become subconscious.
Yeah.
It will become second nature.
I agree. No goals. Lost.
That was really no goals.
I've lost motivation. I'm
done now.
Yeah, I can't think of it. Obvious one. It's similar to no rewards, but reward is more like a passive thing. I think that happens, whereas a no goal is a conscious. Okay, I want to be better at N&M. I want to win X. I want to beat my personal best. Blah blah blah. Like.
Or I want to paint for half an hour each evening. That's a goal.
That's a beautiful goal. That is I want to get into the habit of blah blah blah. So I think I actually don't have any goals at the moment except for the Elder project. So I do have a goal. So that's a complete lie. I've got a clear goal in fact, I couldn't have a stronger goal, which is something that I'm thinking about every day when I'm painting. Like subconsciously, that is. I'm super, super excited. And I tell you what, last year when I first came up with that concept, and then you were like, right, you've got, I don't know why you talk like that, but right, you've got to have this done by 2022 or something. And I was like, yeah, all right, mate. I never ever thought that it would be something that's achievable. And now I'm painting and I'm doing roughly, I don't know, probably a miniature every 2 weeks, let's say. 1 or 2 weeks. I'm really thinking it could be possible. Like I'm getting through a lot of stuff, and football's going to finish for me probably this year. 37. I really do think I could get my lifelong dream. And I think when I finish the Elder project, because I will now, positive reinforcement, I'll have nothing left to do. That'll be it. I'll quit hobby. I'll probably quit everything, because Lionel, nothing will be able to get close to that feeling of having the Elder project finished. You know, when you get to that high, it's only down.
What about winning a Golden Demon for an Eldar entry?
Not interested.
Let's achieve this goal first, and then we'll see.
Yeah, I mean that was all tongue in cheek, obviously. Right now, my goal at the moment is the Elder Project, and just being. My actual goal is probably enjoying painting. That's probably my top level goal, and at the moment I'm really enjoying it. I've gone through stuff that I've had from when I've started, so 2012 when I got back, or 2015 when I got back into it, that I've just kept around because it was like nostalgic. Like cork I bought in the first shop visit, thrown it all out. Sick of it, I was. Gone. Everything's like. In fact, you can see.
What have you thrown out?
Just loads of old crap that I had around that I didn't use, that was taking up mental space, but I'd kept around from when I thought I might, I don't know, use it, need it, whatever. So my goal is to enjoy it, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it at the moment. I can't believe how much I enjoy it. In fact, I'm slightly sad that I didn't start sooner, but I can't cry over spilt milk. I'm very happy with where I am.
Yeah. I'm really happy you're finally painting, because I know we attended the events together, and we obviously went on that journey together, but I always felt there was something missing when you weren't actually competing. And doing it. Don't get me wrong, you enjoyed it, and we still had a good time. But I just think there's something different if we're both.
Yeah, when you enter, you're shitting yourself basically the entire time, and you're really worried.
Yeah.
I know that feeling. I hate it. But like, so I think Golden Demon's a bit too soon for me to do a competition piece. Like something where I spend like 2-3 months and. But.
What you don't want to do is you don't want to kill the flame now.
That's it.
The worst thing you could do is go too big too soon and just kill off whatever. If painting one Eldar in the 90s style every 3 weeks is what you're going to do regularly. No. If that's what you're going to do regularly, then do that. Better do that than to take something on big and they go, you know what, Lionel, I'm fed up again in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
And that's me for another year.
3 years. I have to admit, every time I finish a model, I do get quite strong pulling urges to do the Joaquin Palacios Elder that I had commissioned. So I'm definitely getting there, and that will obviously be probably my Monty or my SMC entry.
Is your you will have an army. Technically, you can game with that army, can't you?
Yeah. I mean, it's a Games Workshop army.
I know they're two different game systems, but I can obviously always pick up a Space Marine Codex. Maybe we should have a game at Warhammer World once you finish that force.
And what a force it will be!
Your force fit versus my salamanders.
And we'll get exclusive permission to film inside there.
Said no or never.
I'll get no reply. Yeah. I'm up for that, obviously. And our Now's actually building a Blood Angel army at the moment.
40k or Horus Heresy?
40k.
Was it? Okay.
Or I don't know. Idea. They all look the same to me. What do you play? Horus Heresy, right?
Horus Heresy, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is the 30k one.
But we could do some kill team or something. I don't know.
Yeah. There'll be a way.
Yeah. There will be. And there bloody better be. So... that is, I suppose you've not discussed your goals of what keeps you motivated.
My goals change from each week. So my goal this week is just to get Pyro finished so that I can use him in a game on Friday. I've got something that I've ordered, which is for Monty Sansovino. So a long-term goal will be to get that done and ready. So my goals change week by week. I've always got something I'm chasing. There's never, as soon as I've finished a model, I've already got the next piece in my head that I need to get done.
Yeah.
And that is mostly driven by gaming and now finding this local gaming store. But there's always something on the horizon that I want to be doing.
Yeah. Which is hugely important, as we've discussed. So they are the five ways to keep or kill motivation, depending on what angle you half full, half empty. And now the new feature that we haven't got a name for, just like our stuff in it.
Yeah, it was kind of I sent the images over as an example of what I'm painting to help me keep me motivated. and whatnot, but we might as well look at them now anyway. And
this is what we're going to do each week. We're going to show what the last week's been for us, right?
Yeah. So one game that I've been playing quite a lot recently in the last year, and is a really good game system, is Marvel Crisis Protocol by Atomic Mass Games. And what I really like about these pieces is one, obviously, it's a comic book IP, Marvel IP, which I really enjoy. But because the characters are all individual, it gives you an opportunity to try out different styles and different techniques in each one, as opposed to painting a uniform army, where it's slightly more difficult. So obviously, if you want to pick a challenging palette, you can do. This is one that I did reasonably recently, and it was to overcome trying to paint white, Jamie.
Yeah, it's good white actually, isn't it? I was going to say that,
So,
but you've spoilt my compliments because it's horrible to paint white.
yeah, and it was something I was avoiding. Obviously, painting white and painting black is very difficult to do. And Moon Knight I like as a character. So when that model came out, I thought, you know what, I'll use this as an opportunity to do something quick in a week, and see if I can understand painting white. And once again, what I did do is I went back to comic book imagery to see how the colorists use colors there,
Yeah.
and adopted it in order to do that piece. So, in terms of a quick goal and motivation, that's something that I did on a 28 mil piece, and I was able to do it inside of a week. It doesn't have to be
Fun?
a long labor of love. Sorry?
Is it fun? Was it fun?
There were moments in the middle where I thought, "Oh, this is looking ropey. I'm not too sure it's gonna turn out." But at the end,
Yeah, it works.
at
I
the
think,
end,
doesn't it?
I was happy with it for what it is. I'm not saying it's like a competition winning piece, but in terms of a piece that you put on the tabletop to game with on a Friday night,
Yeah, yeah.
I was happy with it.
Yeah, and it does help investing in the subject matter. That is interesting though, because like 40k and doesn't really interest me. Orc and Goblins do, but Marvel is something I could paint the models for with a vested interest.
I would love for you to get
Yeah,
painting MCP, because like I said, these are at any store now. It's a fairly big game system. It's a fairly prominent game system. They've got over 100 characters out now for it.
yeah.
So I would love, from a purely selfish point of view, I'd love you to pick up a character and have a go at painting it.
It's interesting as well because you paint, the color schemes are kind of there already. You don't. I mean, you can.
Yeah.
So it is like there's no real like barrier to entry. You just get in and just yeah. Well, I mean, Lionel, I don't want to. You know, I mean, I've got all those chibis I bloody bought for 400 quid.
Of course, I forgot about that.
Bloody chibis. They're all just in the loft, sitting there, smiling at me.
Maybe we need, well, not maybe. Well, actually, they're all behind me there. You can see
That's what I saw. That's why it reminded me of them.
That's something we need to do then. Maybe that's what we do.
What we do, like every 2 weeks, we cover it or something. Like we do one a month. We could do or something.
Yeah.
Paint the same one or paint different ones. Probably different, right? Because otherwise we might not be motivated to paint.
Yeah. Something different. Yeah.
It's an interesting thing. I hadn't thought of that. I mean, right now I'm obviously elder, but
well, at the moment, continue painting what you're doing for the elder, because I've got stuff to do for Horus Heresy and MCP.
Yeah.
But because what I don't want to do is distract you with that, and then it kills your motivation. Do what you enjoy for the time being, and then we'll look at that in the future.
Yeah.
We'll have a.
Yeah, that's exciting though. I would like to paint Marvel. Truth be told, there's quite a few characters there that I'd really like to paint.
And there's another Kickstarter coming out, isn't there? In next week. They're doing the multiverse now.
Jesus
so the
Christ.
same range, but they're doing Wave 3.
It's just fucking printing press for money. Right, one sec. Right, you are.
So yeah, this is have we got any of your pieces, by the way?
Yeah. I'm just going to do you all first, or would you rather jump through?
Well, it's up to you. I just do want this to be kind of a self-indulgence. I don't.
We've got mine. Yeah, we've got mine.
Yeah, I don't really like sharing my work anyway, because it feels a bit self-indulgent. But if it's all just my pieces, then it's just like
super self-indulgent.
Who is this guy?
Well, we've got to start getting on the self-indulgence train, to be honest, Lionel. But give the people what they want. You know, Jim's given us a clear. Is this Jim's? No. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was interesting because I was never going to go back into gaming. I had no interest in gaming in general, and I had zero interest in large scale wargaming. But the manager at the local store who I game at, basically said, "Look, you've really got to get into the Horus Heresy." And initially there was a buzz about it, and I heard the buzz and thought that will die down, and it didn't. And the sort of people who were playing it were probably quite like-minded in that sense. So I kind of dipped my toe into it, and as a result, now I play every Thursday.
Apparently, you love it.
Yeah, there's a local league, and the guy sets up the games, and I play every Thursday, and I really enjoy the game system. But once again, connecting it to motivation, each month, because he organises it, he increases the points limit by 500 points. So at the end of the month, everybody else is bringing 500 points extra of stuff. So once again, going down to a local gaming store, getting involved in a league or a friendly league between you and your friends where you go, let's start off at 500 points and add 500 points each month. That's a manageable goal. And there's a motivation then, because obviously you're all doing it together. And I'm now at the point now where I've just hit 2,000 points for this force. But that's how it started off with. It started off with 20 Green Marines.
It's like your first hit's free, really, isn't it? Like, they get you in and then they suck the life force out of you with 2,000 bloody points. Yeah, they're very nice though, aren't they? Obviously, I've seen your style on your tank that did really well at Golden Demon, and yeah, I was hoping for reactions. So I like them.
So no, thank you. So this is another example of a different goal. So the same thing again, obviously, in addition to the force, but I only had a day to do this. So I wanted to use this model that week, and I had a day off. And I thought, can I do this inside of a day? And I did. So the idea was, it was a long day. I did it during my day off. And then when the kids went to bed, I completed it that evening. So I was able to game with it the following day. So once again, an example of an extreme goal whereby I wanted something which was fairly easy on the eye.
It's quite a high standard for a day, isn't it? To be honest.
Well, thank you. But I knew I had to turn it around in a day anyway. So there was that pressure that I needed to get it on the table. And I never play with unpainted minis. I don't like painting.
It's disrespectful to everyone, to be honest.
Unpainted or unfinished minis. So when I decided it was in my list, it needed to get done. So yeah, that didn't include assembly. He had been assembled already, and I made the decision. You know what?
Going, isn't it?
Yeah. So I did that one inside of a day, so I could put it on.
It must be your record well painted day model then.
Thank you. What he did get destroyed though on turn 2. He got absolutely mullered in turn 2. So
shit model, isn't it?
Speaking about destroying motivation,
I've had that actually. I have had that with my elder, and then they die, and I was like, why did I bother? Like he's just like, and no one's looking at him or saying like, oh, that avatar's beautiful. He's just dead. Take him. Oh, shall I take him off the table? Yeah, he is dead.
I've got a friend that I regularly play, and one of the things he does do is he will always target the newly painted model, even if it's not tactically sound. He will do it to break me.
Mentally, that's good. Break the commander, break the army. I like it.
Yeah. He'll go, that's a really nice model, mate, and then destroy it in turn 1 or 2.
You should hide it. Realise that. Like, use it against him. Put it behind cover, all that kind of stuff. Now Albert and I have all committed to painting up a small force. Ideally, we're starting with like Arnau's already got his squad painted because he cheated. He just took some Blood Angels and used that chrome red on them, so it looks great. But it took him like fucking half an hour or something. And then here's me slugging away like a twat. And obviously, like Albert, the slowest painter in the world, like, I'm conflicted because I want an army that's like my standard, but it took me 18 months to paint a huge dwarf. I don't really know how I'm going to turn an army around, but yeah, we're planning on going to like a gaming cafe or something during the week, basically like what you're doing. And then obviously if we start doing that and we learn the rules and stuff, coming up to play will be a lot more viable because I'll actually know how to play. So yeah, these are. In fact, what you see there is pretty much those 5 models are all the models that I've painted since coming back to Warhammer.
So when's that? November?
Yeah, probably. I did a little bit of that main Farseer, the guy with the pistol. It's funny they're both doing the same sword pistol. It must be. It's a very popular Elder thing. Yeah, probably November. So it's
I've noticed actually, because obviously I'm on the same forums as you, and I've noticed you posting a lot more on forums as well, which is another sign, one, that you're painting, but also that you're happy with what you're producing. So
super happy. Couldn't be more happy, to be honest. I don't think like Juan. I've come across a little bit. I've told him, and there's nothing. But I don't love you in that way. I just want you to understand that you've reinvigorated my passion. I'm very grateful for. It's difficult to tell a man that you really appreciate him without it being too soft. So, that's where I'm trying to. I'm with Juan basically. Like, yeah, he's given me a real good goal or reason to paint.
So, I mean, obviously, there.
Oh, one sec. It's telling me to recharge my headphone. Oh, he's turned off. She's actually turned off. Hold on.
Interesting characters. How many Guardians you painted?
It's not important. Yeah.
But this is going to be a playable army, isn't it?
Yeah. Like
And do you have old Guardians as well?
Please, Lionel. How dare you? I've got. Yeah, I mean, when the addiction is rife and your favourite army is Elder,
you have Guardians.
I've got too many Guardians, truth be told. And look, you can actually see the bottom left there. You can see my jet bikes painted in the old style. Not happy with the transfers on them, which ruined the whole model. But yeah, no, I'm fully aware I need to start fleshing out my actual my squad. But the problem is I want to paint them relatively well. So I'm just getting back in, keeping the motivation, and then while I'll paint the Guardians, I'll probably be thinking more about the goal to keep me motivated to go through to painting an entire squad. And that's the freehand. Beautiful. Just
freehand is still one thing that
that was annoying. Like, you need to play with.
Yeah, it's so easy to get wrong, so hard to get right.
Yeah, I don't really like how it looks anyway, but people who do like artwork in the freehand, it's bloody impressive from like a technical appreciation. It doesn't mean I have to like how it looks. It's a bit like when you look at these Elder, you're not impressed, but you obviously think they look brilliant. But there's you can appreciate something without liking it in a weird way.
I appreciate what you're doing, because there is that part of me that's like, I really want to see him paint one rendered in not that style, the modern style. But I can look at it and appreciate it. It is like a time jump. When you look at it, it does take me back to those white dwarfs. So in that sense, I can appreciate what you're doing.
I think it's some sort of lost childhood thing that's going on in my brain, though. Like, I think it was.
We all do.
Yeah.
I mean, adult men buying games consoles and recollecting hardback comic book collected editions. It's all about chasing your childhood.
What you couldn't basically get then, isn't it? Fundamentally,
yeah. Or recapturing it, as in you had it. It's now gone in the bin, or your mum's given it away, and you're going, you know what? I love that. I'll get it as a hardback collector's.
Yeah, the best, the money. Yeah, I mean, that is actually what happened and how I started getting into buying Warhammer. It was literally just trying to recreate those joyous feelings as a child. So, 1 hour, 10 minutes. Well done, Lionel.
Well done, Jamie.
Thank you very much. We're here to entertain. Yeah.
Very motivated.
2023 forever. That's it. End of the episode, I do believe. Like, subscribe, share, comment, send to your mum, send to your dad. Happy New Year, Happy Christmas.
And once again, just a re-shout out. Once you do see those posts on social media, please send us your questions. We want to get stuck into those, and obviously use the hashtag, because we'd love to share your work. Look out. really awkward how close Jamie's face is.
What do you think?
I'm trying to deliver a very important message there, Jamie. And now you look like Modoc with your massive head and then my tiny head next to you.
Go on.
So yeah, get involved in those hashtags. Send the questions through. The sooner we start getting them through, the sooner we can start those shows up. And I'm looking forward to looking at your work, appreciating it, and talking about some of the topics you send in.
We might have to start with some fake entries to like no one wants to be the first to send them in. So what we'll do is we'll be like, yeah, Johnny Adams sent in this amazing photo. We'll just like get one from Google or something, because the odds of someone like watching.
We've got a question here from Albert, and we've got a question here from Arnau. Arnau says, please stop contacting me. I've already given you 3 questions. Leave me alone. Do you want to kick off with that, Jamie?
That's exactly where we want to go. Look at that top quality banter right at the end of the show. Very rare. End on a high. See you next Friday.
See you next week, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.